comic books, video games, and more. Get your fill this holiday weekend at the Chicago Pop Culture Con. It's happening today and tomorrow, bringing actors, artists, and authors for fans to meet. And that includes the author of the fantasy novel Lucifer, Soldiers, Serpents, and Sins, David M. Taylor II, with us this morning. And I can't wait to dive in, and let's get right into it. All right, so you and I talked a little bit about a commercial break about some movies. We'll get into that in a second. But first, I want to talk about this book. Tell me about the inspiration. Tell me about how you really wanted to keep it, I don't want to say real, but just keep the focus right and not, you know.
Well, it all revolves around one basic question, which is, why do bad things happen to good people? We all hit a point in life where we're going to say, why, God, why?
Yes,
if
sir.
God is so good, why is there so much evil in the world?
Yes, sir.
See, there are definitive answers to those questions. So I wanted to start that conversation, so my book is about that platform.
Not an easy conversation to start, not an easy book to write.
That's right,
All right,
absolutely
talk to me
right.
about your journey to go from page 1 to the last page.
Well, I did quite a bit of research, and there's quite a bit of commonality between different faiths based on angelology. And then also, it started off as an idea. Luke 10:18 says, Jesus said, I beheld Satan fall as lightning from heaven. So I'm like, what did that look like? How did it happen? What's the backstory? How do you go from being the coolest of the cool kids to being cast out? What happens when you look at yourself in a pond and yesterday you were beautiful and today you're this ugly, scarred, gnarly, twisted thing? And so that fascinated me. So I started writing as a short story, and then I just kept writing and writing, and it turned into a novel.
Let's talk about, I want to talk about your inspiration in a second, but first I want to talk about how people can relate this to some of the other things they're going to see today.
It's fantasy.
Sort of.
It's a fictional story based on, biblical accounts. It's similar to Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It's a lot of fighting, a lot of sword play, a lot of military strategy. So.
All right, talk to me now about your inspiration, because it couldn't have been easy to dig deep and write this.
No, it wasn't. But again, wanted to create that platform to answer the questions, and also I was just fascinated by the idea, how could a war in heaven start? How could it be allowed to go on? And how did it spill over into Earth? How did we get involved? Because so much happened before there were people. I'm fascinated by all that kind of stuff, so that's kind of what propelled me.
And you and I were talking near the break. I just watched Wonder Woman last night, which they do this good and evil type fight in the movie.
Yes.
I'm not giving anything away if you haven't seen it. But talk to me about that and this whole, they're spinning these movies into, yes, they're keeping with tradition as far as the comic is concerned, but doing something a little different by bringing more feeling into these films.
Yes. Well, part of the emphasis and the focus is that you have a choice. If you think about every superhero journey you've seen, they've hit that point of choice where you have to make a decision. What am I going to do? Who am I going to be? And that's the universal experience. That's what you're seeing more in comic book movies today.
All right.
Thor had that journey.
That's right,
Wonder Woman had that journey.
Yes.
Bruce Banner is now on that journey.
Right.
So.
All right. Culture Con, talk to me about how people can come see you, talk to you.
I'm going to have a vendor's booth, and so I'm going to be there with all my materials. And then I'm speaking on Sunday on comic book movies, book to films. The title is Why Do They Suck?
Okay, so that's what we were kind of getting into this during the break.
Okay.
Why do they suck? Is it just like they don't translate well? Is that what it is?
No, it's not that. There's some very specific principles you need to observe. One of them is you have to have a production team that understands the character that you're writing for.
Yes.
And then you have to know which things to tweak, because you have these bright colored spandex costumes in 2 dimensions.
Yes.
That's not going to work well in real life.
No.
So there's a lot of little things you have to learn how to do, and then you have to tell a good story. You can't sell it just on the popularity of the hero or villain alone. They have to go on a journey. They have to have an arc.
And they have to tug at your heart. David, I'm so glad you were here. Thank you so very much. You can get a copy of Lucifer, Soldiers, Serpents, and Sin. Meet David today and tomorrow at the Chicago Pop Culture Con. We're posting all the event information on abc7chicago.com.